Okay, so as you can tell, it snowed last night, but it quickly turned to rain, so I'm not going to stay out here much longer. So I've been using the Moza Slypod to get the shots you've been seeing today. It's a phenomenal tool that I can use in pretty much any circumstance, and I was really blown away with how well it dealt with the weather, how light it was, even though it's built really tough. And I'll get into the rest of these things in the actual review, but for now, it is rather cold, and it's raining, and the snow is melting, so there's not much reason for me to stay out here. So I guess I'm going to be heading back to my house here. This is the Moza Slypod E. It's a powerful tool for filmmaking and photography that you can use to take your videos and photos to the next level. I do want to put out there that Moza did send me the Slypod E and the pan and tilt head for free, but they're not paying me in any way whatsoever to make this video. All opinions are my own. So, what does this thing even do? As you saw in that intro sequence, the camera wasn't just sitting still, it was moving. And that's because this is not just a big stick, it is a monopod and a slider combined into one, hence the name Slypod. This is the second iteration of the Slypod series from Moza. There was the original Slypod and now they have the Slypod E. The original Slypod went for over $500, but this one will only set you back around between $200 or $300, depending on how you kit it out. And honestly, there isn't much reason to buy the other one when you can get this one, which has a better build quality, and you can get accessories and save money, rather than having to pay for everything with the original Slypod. Now, when I first picked it up out of the box, I was surprised with how light it was, yet also not so light that it felt cheap. This thing feels really solid in my hands, and I feel like if it were to drop, it would be fine. And, you know, I accidentally did drop it once. It was all good. Not even a scratch on this thing. It's a nice, strong metal build. However, it is kind of awkwardly big. It's tall and a little bit inconvenient with my camera bag. It depends really on what bag you're using, but if I were to put this on my camera bag, it would be kind of strange. It would be really tall, and I think that would offset the weight a little bit. However, it does have a very nice carrying case, It did come with a very nice carrying case which you can put a sling on and makes it a lot easier to carry. And for the size, I would say it's worth it because it's a slider, not just a monopod. Paying $300 for just a plain out monopod seems a little excessive, but when you can turn this thing on and turn it into a portable slider that you can put pretty much anywhere, it's a pretty great deal. So for instance, I have turned it on, and you do that just by pressing and holding this button here for 3 seconds. Once it's powered on, you have the motor control buttons here, which I'm going to do. There's a plus and a minus button, and if you press the plus one, it will start moving. So, now as you can see, the Moza Slypod E is moving, and you can control the rate. If I press down on it, it's going to go faster. And then it extends very long. So you take a small thing you take it from this size to this size, and I'd say that's pretty impressive. And it can hold up to 40 pounds according to the manual. However, you have to have a good tripod to put it on, because I put it on the tripod I was using right now. I was using my Canon R6 and the 70-200 f2.8L, which is the EF version, not the RF version. It would probably fare better with the RF version because it's lighter, but the EF version caused my tripod to start to slant over because the weight was unbalanced. It's not anything wrong with this, it's about your tripod. However, with most setups like a 50mm prime or a wide-angle zoom lens or maybe a 24-70, you're not really going to have much issues. But the one issue which everyone in all the reviews talks about is the noise. This thing is loud. Yeah, but that's not the end of the world, because people would say, oh, it's too loud, I can't use it in an interview situation. But they haven't used the app. If you combine this with the Moza app, you can control the speed to be even slower than what you can get on this, and if you wanted to use it for an interview kind of situation, you wouldn't want it to be going very fast anyways. You usually would want a slow kind of panning shot, which this can do, and you can set the speed to be very low. There's also lots of features in the Moza app which I have yet to uncover, because there's just so many features and things you can do with this. And if you have the Moza Aircross 2, their latest gimbal, you can put that on here and use it in conjunction with this in the Moza app to create parallax movements. So you can have the gimbal doing a tilt or a pan as this thing is extending, so you can you could kind of lock onto a subject and move and keep the camera locked on the subject. There's lots of different options you can have with this, and I think that's pretty incredible. However, the one issue with the app is if you have an Android smartphone, you can't get it on the Google Play Store, which I was very, very surprised by this. I kept searching on the Google Play Store, I'm like, am I missing something? But in fact, it's not on there. So what I had to do is download it from Moza's website using the QR code that was in the instruction manual. I was a little confused as to why I had to do this and why the app isn't on the Google Play Store despite this being over a year old. I don't know if it's something that's regional or depending on where I live, but that's something that should be fixed, especially if people don't want to download an app externally outside of the Google Play Store. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure, and the app does seem to be on the Apple Store as well. And other than those two little gripes, there's one tiny disliking I have, which is not the USB-C port, but the little rubber thing that covers the port right here. It doesn't really stay in, and like it easily flops out, like if it's in a bag. And it's not like breaking the functionality of this device. It's just kind of annoying to me because it like I push it back in, but then it like kind of gets easily comes off the port once again. But you know, it's not a huge issue because you know it has USB Type-C, which is something that we should all be grateful for, because companies need to stop using micro USB, and this has made me happy that it has USB-C for charging, and it charges really fast too. Next, I'd like to bring up the pen and tilt head that's on this. At first, I was rather skeptical of this, as I usually like to have a ball head on my tripods. However, this pleasantly surprised me. So the first thing I have to point out is this tripod plate right here. I usually hate tripod plates with a passion because they're such a hassle to use, but this one is like genuinely amazing because I don't know if you can see it here, but it has 4 different grooves. So you're not stuck with putting this on the Slypod in just one way. You can slide it on like this. And if I want to put it on a different way, all I need to do is unlock it, put it in, and I rotate it, and I can put it in like that, and then I can put it in like that. You get the point. You don't have to take your camera off the tripod plate, off the plate, put it back on, and rotate it in order to rotate this plate around. You don't even have to rotate the whole thing around. You can just take the plate off and put it on in a different way, and that allows you to get shots pointing forward. It allows you to get shots going side to side, any angle pretty much, and it's so easy to switch. That is just one of the greatest things about this. You can set things in certain positions and it's locking, so it literally cannot, it has to click into place like that, and it cannot, once you tighten it back up again, it's not going anywhere, unlike a tripod ball head could if you put enough pressure on it, depending on the quality of your ball head. The one weakness of this is for the rotation, you can adjust the rotation of this like so, and if you don't have it tightened down like all the way, and I mean all the way, you can put a little bit of pressure on it and it will slide around a bit, which isn't a deal breaker, but it is a little annoying. Aside from that, there really are no complaints with this Slypod E, and I honestly would recommend it, and I've used it for a few shoots already, and I will be using it a lot in the future. Also, a good general tip to mention for cameras that may have in-body image stabilization or IBIS, you might want to turn it off when using the camera on the Slypod. The reason being is that when I was using this camera, the Canon R6, which has IBIS, and very strong IBIS, it seemed to pick up the movement of this sliding motion, and tried to counteract it at the beginning of the shot, causing shake, and when it went to the end, it would also cause shake, which was kind of annoying. However, it's not the end of the world, but because you can just cut out the part that was at the beginning with the shake, and it really depends on which system you're using. Panasonic by far has probably the best IBIS out there, and I don't have a Panasonic camera to test, but I would assume it would have similar issues with the shaking at the beginning, but as soon as the Slypod started to get moving, there wasn't any shaking from the IBIS, and I could tell it was the IBIS because I was using a 17mm lens and had the warping, so I knew it was the sensor moving around behind the lens. Again, a special thanks to Moza for sending me the Slypod E, and if you want to send me the Moza Aircross 2, I have the Aircross 1 still, and I would love to do a comparison of the two gimbals, and I would love to try out the motion control thing using both the gimbal and the Slypod E in conjunction, because the Moza Aircross 1 is an older gimbal and is not supported, but hey, I would gladly make a review video for the Moza Aircross 2. That is all for this video. If you enjoyed, do be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I will be leaving a link to buy this in the description. And the link is not an affiliate link, just for those of you that are wondering. That is all from me for today. I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. My name's Rocco. I'll see you next time. Peace.